The reported plans of North Korean leader Kim Jong Un to visit Russia this month have raised concerns among the US and its allies, as they fear a possible arms deal and closer cooperation between the two countries amid the escalating war in Ukraine. Ensure you stay well informed by subscribing to our channel, SLANT News. We provide the latest, most credible news. Thank you for considering us. According to US officials, Kim and Russian President Vladimir Putin intend to discuss the possibility of North Korea providing Moscow with weapons to support its war in Ukraine, where Russia-backed separatists are fighting against the Ukrainian government forces. Russia is facing a shortage of munitions, especially ammunition and artillery shells, due to the intensifying conflict and the sanctions imposed by the West. North Korea, on the other hand, has a surplus of both, as well as anti-tank missiles, which it has developed over the years as part of its nuclear and ballistic missile program. In exchange for the weapons, North Korea is hoping to receive valuable foreign currency, oil, and food, which it desperately needs to cope with the economic crisis caused by the pandemic, border closures, natural disasters, and international sanctions. The potential arms deal between Russia and North Korea is not only a matter of transactional convenience, but also a sign of a burgeoning alliance between the two countries that share a common adversary, the US. Russia and North Korea have a long history of diplomatic and military ties, dating back to the founding of North Korea by Kim's grandfather, Kim Il-sung, with the backing of the Soviet Union in 1948. The Soviet Union also supported North Korea during the Korean War, 1950 to 1953. And provided economic and military aid for decades until its collapse in 1991. However, in recent years, Russia has taken a backseat to China as North Korea's main ally and benefactor, and has supported UN sanctions against Pyeongchang's nuclear weapons program. Russia has also maintained cordial relations with South Korea, which is a key US ally in the region and a major trading partner. But the war in Ukraine has changed the dynamics of Russia's relations with North Korea and South Korea, as well as with China and the US. Russia is now seeking to build a united front against what it perceives as a hostile West that is trying to contain its influence and interests. Russia has also been strengthening its ties with China, which is also engaged in a strategic rivalry with the US over trade, technology, human rights, and regional security issues. China and Russia have conducted joint military exercises, signed energy deals, and coordinated their positions on global affairs. Russia has also been reaching out to North Korea, which is still pursuing its nuclear weapons program despite the stalled talks with the US since 2019. In April 2019, Putin and Kim held their first summit in Vladivostok, where they discussed bilateral cooperation and regional security. Since then, Russia has increased its diplomatic contacts with North Korea, sending high-level officials such as Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu to Pyongyang. Russia has also offered humanitarian assistance to North Korea amid the pandemic, and has called for easing sanctions on the country. In his letter to Kim on Pyeongchang's National Liberation Day on August 15, Putin vowed to expand their comprehensive and constructive bilateral relations, and expressed confidence that they would overcome the challenges posed by the pandemic together. Russia's overtures to North Korea have not gone unnoticed by South Korea, which is worried about the implications of a closer partnership between Moscow and Pyongyang for its security and diplomacy. South Korea has been trying to revive dialogue with North Korea since President Moon Jae-in took office in 2017, but has faced difficulties due to Pyeongchang's reluctance and Washington's pressure. South Korea has also been caught in the middle of the US-China rivalry, as it depends on both countries for its economic growth and security. South Korea has tried to balance its relations with both powers, but has faced criticism from both sides for not taking a clear stance on issues such as Huawei's 5G network, Hong Kong's democracy movement, and Taiwan's status. South Korea's intelligence service recently briefed that Shoigu had suggested that Russia, China, and North Korea hold joint naval drills in response to those carried out by the US, South Korea, and Japan in the region. Such drills would be seen as a provocation by Seoul and Tokyo, which are already concerned about North Korea's missile tests and nuclear activities. South Korea is also concerned that North Korea could receive advanced weapons technology, or knowledge from Russia that would help it make breakthroughs in its nuclear weapons program. North Korea is still struggling to master key strategic weapons such as spy satellites and nuclear-armed submarines. However, experts believe that cooperation on this level is unlikely, as it could be strategically dangerous for Russia. Yang UK, a research fellow at the Asian Institute for Policy Studies, noted that even if Russia does not sell North Korea weapons in return, it could still fund its nuclear program indirectly. If Russia pays in oil and food, it can revive the North Korea economy, which in turn could then also strengthen North Korea's weapons system. It is an extra source of income for them that they didn't have, he said. The US, meanwhile, has been watching the developments between Russia and North Korea with alarm, as they pose a threat to its interests and allies in the region and beyond. The US has been leading the international efforts to pressure North Korea to give up its nuclear weapons program through sanctions and diplomacy, but has failed to achieve any tangible results so far. The US has also been supporting Ukraine in its fight against Russia-backed separatists, and has imposed sanctions on Russia for its annexation of Crimea in 2014, and its interference in the 2016 US presidential election. The US has accused Russia of escalating the conflict in Ukraine by amassing troops and weapons near the border, and has warned of serious consequences if Russia invades. The US has also been trying to rally its allies and partners in the Indo-Pacific region to counter China's growing influence and assertiveness. The US has formed the Quad alliance with Australia, India, and Japan, and has enhanced its security cooperation with South Korea, Taiwan, and other countries. The US has also reaffirmed its commitment to defend its allies from any attack by North Korea. However, the US faces challenges in maintaining its leadership and credibility in the region, as some of its allies and partners are wary of provoking China or Russia, or getting involved in their disputes with the US. The US also faces domestic issues such as the COVID-19 pandemic, economic recovery, social unrest, and political polarization, which could limit its ability and willingness to engage in foreign affairs. The possible meeting between Putin and Kim later this month could have significant implications for the regional and global security situation, as well as for the prospects of denuclearization and peace on the Korean peninsula. The meeting could also signal a shift in the balance of power and influence in the region, as Russia and North Korea seek to leverage their relationship to gain more leverage and bargaining power against the US and its allies. The meeting could also test the resolve and coordination of the US and its allies, as they face a more complex and challenging environment that requires more diplomacy and dialogue, as well as deterrence and defense. The reported plans of North Korean leader Kim Jong Un to visit Russia this month have raised concerns among the US and its allies, as they fear a possible arms deal and closer cooperation between the two countries amid the escalating war in Ukraine. The potential arms deal between Russia and North Korea is not only a matter of transactional convenience, but also a sign of a burgeoning alliance between the two countries that share a common adversary, the US. The possible meeting between Putin and Kim later this month could have significant implications for the regional and global security situation, as well as for the prospects of denuclearization and peace on the Korean peninsula. The meeting could also signal a shift in the balance of power and influence in the region, as Russia and North Korea seek to leverage their relationship to gain more leverage and bargaining power against the US and its allies. The meeting could also test the resolve and coordination of the US and its allies, as they face a more complex and challenging environment that requires more diplomacy and dialogue, as well as deterrence and defense.